Hey everyone, welcome to the launch of the Gay Health Network Strategy for 2023 to 2026, working with our communities. I'd like to thank everyone who could make it to Outhouse today and everyone joining us via live stream. So we're delighted to launch this shiny little report. I suppose Gay Health Network has been through many iterations since it was founded in 1994. To give you a bit of context and to make some people in the room feel a bit old, I was about 7. Yeah, a lot of hard work went into this, so I suppose how it's going to run is I'm just going to basically say a few thank yous and acknowledgements, talk a bit about our mission and our values, and then I'm going to hand over to Susan Donlan from HIV Ireland and David Carroll. I suppose I'm going to hold this open because I frequently forget what to say all the time. So I suppose in terms of our oh look, I've forgotten what I'm going to say already. In terms of our vision, so the Gay Health Network vision for Ireland is an Ireland that's a world leader in sexual and gender rights. And of course, where communities feel empowered to make informed decisions about their own lives and free of stigma and fear. Somebody's coming in. So I suppose it's working collaboratively with the community to make those informed decisions rather than being kind of preachy and hierarchical about it. I suppose our values would be around having a very sex positive and gender positive, position on things, free of that stigma and shame which I mentioned. There is more, and I've forgotten what I'm going to say already. Values around sex positive philosophy, human rights, freedom from discrimination and stigma, inclusion and promotion of diversity, all those other nice buzzwords that people like to hear. I'm going to kind of go on to the thank yous now. So obviously there were a lot of people involved in this process from my fellow board members. So of course I'm standing in currently as the acting chairperson, and our chairperson Kieran McKinney, who's been ill lately, did amazing work in this endeavour, and of course we wish him a speedy recovery and send him lots of love. There is Bill Foley, our secretary, Mick Quinlan, who is treasurer, Alan, Michael, Paul, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some. Adam, and of course to Paddy and Rohit, who do amazing work, and many of you would know them from different meetings and various appearances. And of course our facilitator of the strategy, Damien Walsh of the Independent Living Movement for Ireland, who it's very difficult to keep queers on track sometimes, and he did a great job in that. And then of course our stakeholder organisations, such as Outhouse, where we are right now, Dublin Pride, HIV Ireland, Positive Now, the Rainbow Project, GOSH, Sexual Health Centre, and of course the Sexual Health and Crisis Pregnancy Programme, and I'm sure there's somebody else to thank. But as I say, I don't really do public speaking, so this is a bit awkward for me. So I'm going to pass on to talk, I suppose, a bit about networking and the importance of it and how it guides our mission. So I'm going to introduce Susan Donlan from HIV Ireland.
Yes, in typical Mick fashion, I get thrown in here at the very last minute, but there you go, I'm used to it at this stage. Just to pass on apologies from Maeve O'Brien in the HSE Sexual and Crisis Pregnancy Programme, who was due to attend and speak today, but I'm doing that on your behalf, Maeve. Just a little bit. I was part of the Gay Health Network team that developed the very first strategy for the Gay Health Network back in 2008. Congratulations on you all on this new strategy. And I was part of that team as well that was successful. The network was around 17 years at the time when the HSE agreed to fund the new Man2Man program that we were developing. So I'm proud of that, I'm part of that team, and thank the HSE for continuing to fund the Gay Health Network and Man2Man programme. It continues to be a really important resource. The evidence suggests that there's tens of thousands of men who access the Man2Man resource every single year. I welcome the strategy in terms of continuing to do that and to serve the needs of GBMSM across Ireland, and to reach out to more marginalised groups as well, and to continue to respond to those emerging trends. We've seen a few of those over the last number of years, COVID, mpox, and a syphilis outbreak as well, so that's really, really important. So I'm delighted to see that happening. Also, it's really great to see that the network is keen to develop and expand its membership, and that's really, really important in terms of reaching other groups and just providing that space. We see, particularly in the new HIV data that came out recently, we can see that there's an increase in new diagnosis in Ireland, but we also know that part of that is to do with post-COVID opening up the services and also migration into Ireland. So it's important that we develops to reflect that as well. There's not much more I can say on that. Just congratulate you all. Welcome the new strategy, and I know Mick is going to talk a little bit about research in a while, but I'm going to hand over to David now as well, who's going to say a few words. So congratulations on the new strategy.
Thanks for the invitation, Mick. Like Susan, the invitation came about 3 minutes ago, so I'm not quite sure it's going to be the most eloquent speech you've ever heard. But again, I just want to say well done to people on what seems like, as flicking through it, a really interesting strategy and a really important way of moving forward to the network. And I suppose what struck me, even just flipping through it in the last couple of minutes, are the pictures, because the pictures say an awful lot, I think, both about the quality of the campaigns that have taken place over the years, but also the kind of grass level part that the Gay Health Network has always kind of keenly been involved in, actively promoting. And I suppose I saw this picture here in particular on page 10 of the Johnny Group, which, again, for younger people here in the audience may not be aware that when I was involved in the Gay Health Network, part of my role was to support the Johnny peer group throughout the early noughties, and we gave out hundreds of thousands of condoms at weekends and had a kind of a really impactful kind of a series of interventions on the scene. I suppose in many ways a precursor to what the Empower Project does now, but it was really interesting how at the time the Gay Health Network really got behind the Johnny Group in terms of supporting an entirely voluntary grassroots initiative, and I think that's always kind of been part of the really important, impactful stuff of the network. I should say as well, in memory of Chris Mallon, the guy who's pictured here, who actually passed on a couple of years ago. He was the chairperson of Johnny for a number of years. But just want to say, it's been a long time. The Gay Health Network, I'm not sure how many years, 28, but I remember being at the first meeting. Mick invited me. I was an outreach worker in AIDS West in Galway. There was no gay bars in Galway at the time, so I was working distributing condoms in a cruising area. So the isolation back then to be involved in something so special as the network. I remember Ronan coming from Cork, people coming from Belfast. I remember the first meeting, I think, down at the other end of Capel Street. Mick brought along his nephew and niece to babysit for the day. But it was, I suppose, the seed was planted back then, and as you say, 20 years later, it's gone from strength to strength. So having not read this in its entirety, I must confess yet, I haven't had the chance. I really look forward to reading it, and I wish you all the best. Thanks.
I thought, sorry. I thought I was going to say a few words and then wasn't. I was going to speak on research, really, the importance of it. And when you look back about the first research in Ireland, it was in 2000. Well, before that was at the Gay Health Action in 1988 to 90, and then in the HSE, well, when it was originally something else, it was say North Eastern area or South Eastern area help or something. But I was in there as an outreach worker, and David Wise was the counsellor in the AIDS drug service. And it was called the AIDS Resource Centre at the time. And we'd done research in the scene of 480 men, and from that, the Gay Men's Health Service was set up. And that was before decriminalisation of homosexuality. Then in 2000, the network, through the support of the health board in the area and the Gay Men's Health Service and the Gay Health Network, we did the first big face-to-face research in Ireland, Vital Statistics 2000, and that was the largest ever of an All-Ireland survey. And then there was the Real Lives and others researches right up to IMIS 2010, which was 100,000 men recruited around Europe. And Ireland had one of the highest responses. And then we had MISSY 2015 with the HPSC and the sexual enterprise pregnancy. And again, that was a huge response on the internet for the MISSY. It was over 2,000 gay and bisexual men living in, it was actually a Republic of Ireland survey. And then we had IMIS 2017, again a huge research with about 40 countries, again 130,000 MSM, and again Ireland was the fourth highest response in all of Europe. So research is vitally important. At the moment, I think we're looking at 2023 for IMIS, but there's other types of research to be done as well that we would hope to be promoting with other groups in the area. So over the next while, hopefully people will see people out there actively researching. But it's important that we do research, or we do evaluate also what we do. And the Gay Men's Health, the Gay Health Network does evaluate the programs that are delivered, or the campaigns with the HSE. So we got a good response in that as well. I think what I would like to do is that it was mentioned, what I would like to highlight is we thank the funders like the Secretary of Sexual Enterprise Pregnancy, which is vitally important. I mean, that's basically is our core funders now. But we have had other supporters like, I think the name is spelled wrong. But anyway, MacAid's, Estee Lauder. Now they are finished, but we get a few on the benefit team, we get a couple of €100 a year, but that's it. And then previous to that was Alternatives Ireland, Friends and Hands. They were vital down the years to support them, so it's just worth mentioning and thanking them. And then, of course, there's all the groups. Do you want to hand off?
Because Mick isn't the only person to control people in at the deep end, I have also asked Oisin O'Reilly, the CEO of Outhouse we are, for a few words, because I suppose this centre has been, a hub of activity for the network and many network members over the years. So I'm going to hand over to Oisin there.
Thank you very much, Jamie. I see you've learned a trait. But I suppose the centre, as you know, is a home for our community and for organisations and groups within our community. I suppose we're very proud to have the health network based here. And, I suppose I've been flicking through this since Mick gave it to me last Friday. And it's no easy feat to distill an organisation down into such a short document and communicate it outwards. And within that, we're at a point of reinvention of the notion of home here at Outhouse now. And we're starting the development of our strategy. So it's, I suppose, a very timely arrival on my desk. So it does, particularly when we look at things like the values around sex positivity and how that can make people feel at home. And how inclusion and the promotion of diversity adds to the notion of home. And I think there's a lot of synergy between the approach the network has had over its history and the approach Outhouse has had. And recently I was reading the Outhouse Constitution from the noughties itself, and language has evolved, but the tone and tenor underneath it really hasn't. And I think there's something around a lovely constant that flows through the approach the network has had and continues to have, and I can see will have in the future as well, that
it's changed, it's evolved, the issues, the people, but the approach and the foundations of it in a way were so solid to begin with. And I think there's a lot of credit to you, Mick, as a person in that, but also to the network members and the volunteers who've really helped curate that over time. And I think it really has shifted things for us. So yeah, you're to be commended, and congratulations.
Right, so I'm going to wrap up now. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us online or in person. This document is available on ghn.ie, and also there'll be some copies here in Outhouse, the LGBT Community Centre, and in the Pride Hub. And thanks very much for joining us once again.